Hello. I just want to say that in lieu of all the police and having all these interactions, strange and brutal interactions with the black community, this is something that's been going on since they were what the slaves called patrollers or paddy rollers, which is what back when I was a boy we used to call the police the rollers. But anyway, it's what's been going on since blacks were on the slave plantation. And you have these white, mostly unemployable, brutal white males that will remind you of any such people today who were tasked by plantation owners with patrolling the area and making sure no slaves or runaway slaves was out and making mischief or whatever and making sure slaves had passes to be out off the plantation, going to and fro, normally to work, uh, being lent out to work for somebody on behalf of the slave master. All I want to say is that it came to my attention uh, last year when there was a guy, I forgot his name. I live in Cleveland, and I lived on the Lower East Side, down around 65th, 60th Superior. And there was this councilman running. I think he was kin to Fannie Lewis. Um, she was a popular councilwoman in the Huff area, and also that area took up where I live. That area down there. Fannie Lewis died not too long ago, 2, 3 years ago maybe. But anyway, she was very popular with blacks down there. I think this guy was like her son or her nephew or something like that. And I tried to talk with him. He wanted me to kind of help him run because he was running against an incumbent. And I asked him, we had a conversation, and I brought up to him, if you were running a platform where you would try to put an end to police brutality in that particular ward, I would back you. And so through he and I discussing this, I never got an agreement with this, but he just told me uh, that there was some rule on the books where if members of a ward generated enough petitions that they could go down to City Hall and get the money um, out of the money used for that particular ward that particular ward paid taxes for to fund law enforcement in that ward, and then go out and try to and buy or find law enforcement in that particular ward for themselves. In other words, that ward could go out and create an institution for their own police, for the ward to have their own police services. Now, I think this is something that exists throughout the country. We need to look at it and move on it. Right now, I'm going to say this. Normally, the Libertarian Party is normally right wing. It was created, I think, by rich motherfuckers to get richer. But we can do with it what we want. Right now, Democrats and Republicans do not belong to black people. We need to forge our own independent party based on the Libertarian Party. Now, I won't discuss plans on that on the air, but what I will say is that in all the wars across the United States, if you're not satisfied with the protection or the job that the city hall is doing with their police forces in your wards, you can get an organization or what have you to generate enough petitions from people in your ward so that you could go and get your money, the tax monies that the people in your ward paid into the particular fund for policing, and you can create your own force, your own police force, which is what I think we need to be going towards in the 21st century. Oh, the old way of policing is the past, and it's being abused right now. What's happening now is the federal government is militarizing these cops, and they're going to try to use them ultimately for their own ends. But we can circumvent all that. Yeah, true, I'm a black separatist, black national separatist, but I'm not a black supremacist, which means I don't believe that any one race or any one people is supreme over another. They have their merits, we have ours. They have their types of intelligence, we have ours. But what I will say is that I believe that, that the whole earth is our house, but our different nations and different areas is our own private living space. We can all come together, we can all discuss this, that, whatnot, but we all need our own home, separate home, when we're through the discussion. We're through ironing out what we need to iron out. Now, if people want to live together, that's on, the ones that want to live together, that's on them. The ones that want to separate, that's on them. But what I want to say is that right now, just like I think it was Huey Newton said, it's time, or was it Huey, or was it someone else? I don't know. I think it was Huey Newton. It's time to seize the time. What do I mean by that? A lot of whites aren't necessarily concerned about what happens to blacks, but they see that these police forces are militarizing. These police forces, what they saw in Ferguson, Missouri, or St. Louis, was cops in RVs, heavily armored RVs, M60s on tripods with complete armor on themselves. What the hell does a police force, a suburb of St. Louis, Missouri, Ferguson, need with fucking M60s on tripods? And if not exactly M60s, a corresponding weapon. It's ridiculous. And they're worried that the police forces throughout the United States are being militarized because they're going to be used by the FedGov in connection with world controlling bankers and such to try to bring the populations of America to their feet. Once these draconian laws and rules are set in place and the people up and rebel, especially with this with their privacy being invaded, with all this spying going on by a national security agency, and when the people start rebelling against this, there's a fear that these type of police forces will be set out against the people, so that way you won't really have to declare martial law. Or if you do, you won't have to call in the Guard, because there's some question as to whether the National Guard or whether the military will fire upon the American people. And right now, America is not doing too good with Russia, so this whole Security Council UN thing is questionable as far as if America feels it needs to call in soldiers from other countries to quell their populations in the future. I talked to many guys that came out of Afghanistan and Iraq, and they tell me that a guerrilla war is the worst war for a type of military like the United States to fight. And the United States is the quintessential type military, type of military, standard military that wants to fight a conventional war and have all these conventional war weapons enlarged from the top down. So a urban guerrilla war is the hardest to fight. So they're militarizing police forces filled with guys who need a job, guys who maybe not the most educated, maybe they got a few screws loose and can't really go anywhere else, but they can sure get a job as long as they're brutal enough and sociopathic enough. Get a job on today's police forces and in today's police forces, which has always been the case, but even more so now. No different than Haiti when Papa Doc had the Tom Macoute, who were basically Papa and Baby Doc Duvalier. Recruited the Tom Macoute from places where basic poverty is horrible all throughout Haiti. But they recruited these kind of very brutal, very mean, very hostile, very poor police forces that was loyal to only to the Duvaliers and would carry out all type of atrocities on their behalf. So now, I've all this long diatribe, I've been talking to say this. The time seems the time now because there's a saying, and the saying goes like this. All the people can be fooled some of the time. Or you can fool all the people some of the time. You can fool some of the people all the time. But you can't fool all the people all the time. And in the 60s, and 70s with Nixon, the late 60s and early 70s, with Nixon and his law and order talk, when he started this whole campaign about restoring law and order to the United States on the back of the whole Vietnam protests and such. A lot of right-wing forces was all for this. The same thing when the Panthers carried their shotguns up to the State House when Ronald Reagan was the governor in California. And all of a sudden, a lot of people in California that day lost a lot of their gun rights because of that. And white right-wing forces didn't complain that much. They were all behind this. Now this damn George Zimmerman, he's really Hispanic. He's a Mexican. I think he may be half Jewish, or either the Jewish guy may have just been his foster father. I don't know. But a lot of Mexicans and Hispanics suffer from the same things that blacks do, trying to please the massa, trying to be what the massa wants. But anyway, that's another story. When this guy killed Trayvon, as a matter of fact, I think that he is a nut that wanted to kill somebody and he knew he can get away with it, or thought he can get away with it if it was someone like a Trayvon, so he set him up so that he could kill him. Followed him around. He pretty much knew this young man's response was going to be. And I think he even let the guy start whooping on him so he had an excuse to blow his brains out. It's very obvious if you observe it from all angles. It looks that way. Anyway, now he's running around. He's in the news all the time with all kinds of nutty shit. And now those stupid whites that backed him feel like fools. But anyway, now is a time when people that don't necessarily like you, but they see the police committing horrible atrocities, not only against blacks, but against whites. Look at this homeless guy. They beat these cops, I forgot where it was. They beat him to death, and the guy was hollering for his father. Showed no mercy. You see, when it was just contained of beating and killing niggas, no one gave a fuck. But now that white folks are getting killed, people are standing taking notice. These police forces are out of control. Most because a lot of people nowadays, there are all kind of chemicals and all kind of things that's affecting people's brains. Cops have always been brutal and horrible, but now they're just going crazy. And these sociopath politicians are letting them do this because they're the gatekeepers for the fucking billionaire bankers. They really control multinational fuckers that control all this shit. And the people are starting to see that. So now you have the time, you can see the time. Because white people have numbers, they have more numbers, and they have more status in the society, and they have access to more. So it's time now for all the people to rise. I don't care if it's a black cop somewhere that beats a white person. It's then blacks gotta go out and rise and protest that. I don't care what the hell it is. We have to come together now because we can solve this whole thing, but don't let it slip away. We have a short window. These riots are not stopping. Don't let it slip away. I want this video here to probably be given to whatever ward that is in St. Louis. And this idea of a petition to get your money back for these so-called paying some fucking savage, pig-faced bastard cops to kill your children and snicker and laugh about it and arrest people coming from news agencies to do their job, arrest people. It's time now to send them motherfuckers packing and send them home. Take them off the fucking streets. They're criminals masquerading in fucking blue. Take them off the streets. Create your own law enforcement. Anyway, it's time to decentralize law enforcement. Let's be real. America is a large place with a lot of different countries. Most of these states in America are large enough to be foreign countries. This is really a federalist government, supposedly. Supposedly. And so you have the right now to create your, just like it's a guy, I think call himself General T dot A dot C dot O. He's trying to organize, I think he calls it what does he call it? A pig monitoring thing. Sort of like what the Black Nationalists, what the Black Panthers started out as. Here in Cleveland, we call them the Black Nationalists. But anyway, this guy, he's organized some Panthers to go around and watch a cop watch. Now, if this petition is passed and the people in the different wards say, we don't want these motherfuckers police in our streets no more, then that takes the centralization away from the system, from the billionaires, from the millionaires, from the politicians that are the pimps, or let's say the bottom bitch for the real pimps, the fucking bankers. These politicians are the bottom bitch. That's it. And we the hoes, supposedly. Some of us, those of us that don't have anything and no jobs, even those with degrees and stuff, as the hoes, they don't need them more, so they kick them out the fucking house, Kick them out to fend for themselves. So anyway, getting back to what I was saying, that guy who calls himself General TACO, if the people in his ward or decide, or whatever ward he decides to claim, the people in that ward make enough petitions, get enough petitions signed, they can take his organization, which I think is the Panther Party, They can be trained as police, and they could become the actual police force in that ward. Isn't that something? Or how the church lady used to say on Sunday Live, isn't that special? So it's time now to come together and use our heads as well as have other alternative if these kind of measures are not respected. If these laws or these loopholes that are um, in the city constitution, whatever the hell, if they're not respected, then that means that this shit is just a kangaroo court and you got the right to do whatever you want to disassemble it, dismantle it, and start another one. Just vote all these motherfuckers out. You can vote their asses out. When you start talking like that and show you got something behind you and say, look, I don't want to hear no more your fucking double con talk. You do it or we're going to vote your ass out. That's the bottom line. Because the reason they want to be politicians is so they can get fucking kickbacks from these billionaire bankers and shit and become millionaires themselves. I mean, these guys aren't doing that to raising all this money to be what a governor or to be a mayor or something just on that fucking salary. These guys spend about $1 million or more to get a job paying what $100,000 a year. That doesn't sound right. You know why they're really there, so they can get kickbacks and shit like that. That's why they're really there. So these sociopath motherfuckers, politicians, they're going to listen when the threat of their fucking job not existing anymore is there. They're going to listen in. And they're going to kick those cops in the ass and tell them, you better fucking fly right. As a matter of fact, fuck those cops. What we have to do, like I said, is what I said we have to do. Get those petitions signed so we can decentralize these motherfuckers anyway. I mean, there are courses that the Klan gives out for certain cops to join the police forces and trick people, and they really be with the Klan. You want some? We don't. A lot of these guys are coming from like suburbs and shit. You know what I'm saying, to the inner city. What the fuck are they doing in our city or in our wards? Not from our wards. It's almost the only thing we got in common is we speak the same fucking language. We like foreign forces for confronting each other. Even a white boy live in the hood ain't like these fucking suburban assholes. So these suburban white boys with their preconceived ideas about minorities or what have you, what they want to call us, you know, minorities, blacks, Hispanics, whatever. But with their preconceived ideas coming to our neighborhood, and the Trayvon Martins and the kid Brown that got shot the other day is the result. And the politicians just smile and don't give a fuck and they say shit and they don't, you know. They're con men. They're just con men. That's why they go to most of them are lawyers, because fucking lawyers are con men. I'm just telling you. And it's time for us to give them motherfuckers the walking papers. Tell them motherfuckers to pack their grip and get gone. I want this video to be, I don't know what they call it, viral or some shit. Not because I want to be famous or this and whatnot. But I want new Africans, I want brothers, I want the whole country to set about doing what I just said. If you're not satisfied with these motherfuckers in the monkey suits beating and killing people, then just sign these petitions, get the petitions going, and create your own force. Look at all the young black men that would employ in the hood, the Panthers and stuff, who will probably do the police forcing for less. They had a house to live in the hood, provided free rent, you know, maybe $30,000 a year with free rent and other perks. Then you probably have a much better police officer than you would some fucker from way out some goddamn where, out the damn near out the state, coming in with his middle class ass preconceived ideas, maybe a Klansman, you know, and you're gonna continue to have the kind of shit you're having now. And And like I said, now there are a lot of other people willing to back you, not because they really give a damn about you, but they know that it's them now too. It's not just you. And so that's all I really got to say. You know what, man? New African Hoodoo on Facebook or Kwame Ajamu on Facebook. Peace.